Hey guys, I'm Maddie and welcome back to my channel. I have not made a reading update in quite a while and it is the middle of November, almost the end of November. When I'm filming this, it's the 18th. So let's do a little reading recap of what I read in the fall, early winter, and then we'll get onto some of the books that I want to read before the year is over. I'm hoping I'll get through all those books, but we'll get into that later. So let's start off with what I have read recently since I last updated you. It's not too many books, honestly, and they were all pretty mid. So first of all, we have Beach Read by Emily Henry. I did actually give this book 4 stars. I listened to the audiobook of it and the narrators did such a great job. It's a very light-hearted, fun, cutesy little romance. I don't really get why it's called Beach Read because there isn't much to do with beaches in the book at all, in my opinion. I was kind of waiting for the title to click and it never did. But honestly, I forget what the characters' names are because it was so long ago that I read it. So we follow January Andrews. She is a author, a writer, and her life kind of turns upside down a little bit and she ends up staying at, I think it's her dad's house. He like leaves it to her. I can't remember. Yeah, he dies and leaves her his house, but his marriage with her mom kind of went up in flames a little bit. So there's kind of bad blood between them. Not bad blood, but like an awkward situation. So she's staying in the house and then she crossed paths with Augustus Everett, aka Gus. I'm pretty sure they call him Gus. It's been so long. I'm probably gonna butcher this explanation, but she knew him from earlier in her life and then they kind of cross paths again and spark up like a rivalry, kind of like a little competition between them because they're both kind of in a writing rut. So they spark up a competition and then you follow them and their stories, their friendship unfolding, and it's just kind of a sweet little lighthearted book. There were some really funny moments between the other characters. Posey owns the coffee shop and a bookstore, and Posey is so funny. She's one of my favorite side characters. I forget what her nickname is, but she is a hoot and a half. She's so fun and instigates a lot of situations between Gus and January, which I thought was super, super cute. I don't really have much more to say about this book because, to be honest, I can't really remember a lot of it. With that being said, let's move on to the next book. That is Deep End by Ali Hazelwood. The title of this book, when I think she first kind of announced it, was Wet, W-H-E-T, and I think that is such a funny title. But this follows 2 swimmers in college and Scarlett is the girl and what's his name? Lucas. Lucas is the dude that we follow and they're both into kinky stuff, and then they get kind of set up by an unlikely source and they explore those kinks together, and it wasn't nearly as kinky as I thought it was going to be. It was pretty tame, honestly. I think this would be a good book if you're trying to get into the kink stuff and kind of explore it to see if it's for you, because it's not that serious. I think I rated this 3.5 stars. Yeah, I did. Because we talk about this girl named Pen way too much in this book. Like, she is brought up so many times. It didn't feel like the connection was between Lucas and Scarlett. Pen was just this little cloud that was over everything, and I feel like she really took away from the story. This book was also very unserious. It was a fun little read. Don't take it too seriously. Don't go into it with very high expectations or think that it's going to be some groundbreaking novel, because it's not that. And I think this book knows it's not that and doesn't try to be something it's not, if that makes sense. It was good. It was spicy. I learned a lot about swimming. That's one thing about Ali Hazelwood, is she really, no pun intended, dives into the topics she's writing about and thoroughly researches them and really captivates you. Like all of her STEM, like the love hypothetically, Love Theoretically. No, The Love Hypothesis and Love Theoretically. Those are very STEM, science-heavy books. And I feel like you learn a lot about the topic. And that just shows how much Allie cares about the books and puts effort into the topics she is writing about. So I very much respect that. Next we have Praise by Sarah Kate. This is book 1 of the Salacious Players Club series. There are a bunch of interconnected standalone books. This one we follow Emerson and Charlie, and it's age gap, but also Charlie used to date Emerson's son, and then Emerson accidentally mistakes Charlie for a submissive secretary that he has hired, and their first encounter was him telling her to get on her knees. Yeah, and she does it. She does it in his office, gets on her knees, and then it goes from there. They explore different things. I'm pretty sure, no, Charlie isn't a virgin, I don't think. But this is what I think this book needed a little bit more of. This was pretty vanilla, and this one, I've never read anything like this before, and it was so fun. I guess the only other like ex-boyfriend's dad I read was Birthday Girl by Penelope Douglas. I did really enjoy that book. This I gave 3.5 stars. One thing I did appreciate is that people did think it was weird that she was with her ex-boyfriend's dad, because in the real world, that would be seen as a little like, you'd get a bit of side eye from it. It's very taboo. So I liked how in this book, the accountability was still there and people realized that it's not okay. Like, it was fine. Everybody's consenting. Everybody's of age, but I really like this. So Emerson's friend group owns this kink club, and each main character has their own kink that they dive into in this book and explore further. So Emerson's is being a dom, and Charlie wants to be in the submissive position. So he allows her to explore that. She wants him to explore it with her. Cutie little book. And following that up, we have Eyes on Me, which is the second book. And this follows Garrett and Mia. And Mia is a cam girl. She does cam work on an app, and Garrett accidentally stumbles upon her page, her profile, and watches her because he is a voyeur. So he likes to watch and observe sexual acts, I guess. And Mia likes to be in the spotlight, likes the attention on her, likes to perform for other people, but she also does it for herself. They are also step siblings. I forgot to add that. They are step siblings. So again, another taboo. I think there's a big age difference between them too, like 13 years or something. I can't remember exactly the dynamic. Like, they weren't really raised together. She was quite young when her mom and his dad got together. So it's not super weird. Like, they weren't raised together. I think there's like 13 years between them. So I think she was like 13 when he entered into her life, and he was like 26. But obviously he knows who he's watching, but she doesn't know that it's Garrett watching her, if that makes sense. And then it kind of comes full circle, gets kind of tied up in a nice little bow. 3.5 stars for this. It's just not a very deep book, and these two books are basically majority spice with a very small subplot. And moving on, we have 2 more audiobooks. Again, these are another kind of part of it. They're part of the same series, and that is Ravage by Steph Macca. I gave it 3.5 stars, and then also Exile by Steph Macca, and I gave it 3 stars. I can't really talk too much about these books because they are the 3rd and 4th book of the series. They kind of wrap it all up. But the first book is Unhinged, and essentially we follow our main character, Avery. She commits a crime, I guess, and in this world there is it's not fantasy. In this book, in the setting, there is this Lilydale Foundation, which is a place but essentially an insane asylum. Not really, but like, it's for people who create who commit crimes, and instead of going to jail, they are put into the Lilydale Foundation to try to be rehabilitated, to be put back into society. So Avery finds herself there, and then she meets these three guys, Theo, Damon, and Gray, and creates this whole life for herself in there. It's a reverse harem. I'm pretty sure that's what it's called. It's called a Why Choose. The first couple books, you're like, how is this a Why Choose? Does Steph Mackin know what a Why Choose is? And then as the series goes on, you figure it out, things come together. But it's crazy, and the spicy scenes are very spicy. I've never read a reverse harem book before, so this was also a first for me, and listening to it was a ride. I highly, highly, highly recommend the audiobook because there's a full cast of characters and the narrators are so good. The guy who narrates Gray's parts, I listened just for him because it was so good. I loved it. The last book was my least favorite. I did like how it wrapped up, but I don't know, it just kind of got muddy sometimes, and I feel like we lost a bit of the plot. A lot was happening, but also not a lot either. The dynamic kind of changed, and I just felt like it lost kind of the hype from the first book and just kind of dwindled down a little bit. It didn't keep me very engaged, and it was just okay. I still enjoyed it. I still don't regret listening to them by any means at all. They just weren't like a top tier book for me. They were kind of forgettable. And the last two books I have read are a part of a series again, a different series, and that is The Torment Duet by Dylan Page. Oh my God, these books. When I first read them, I rated the first, so it's called Torment Part 1 and then Torment Part 2. The first one, I originally rated a 3.5 star, but then I switched it to a 4 because after I finished both books, they impacted me a lot more deeply than I was anticipating and than I was expecting. This is more step-siblings. Yeah, more step-siblings. I just seem to be having a thing for step-siblings this month. Oh, I can't get away from it. I started this book with no information at all, so I want to give you as little detail as possible because I think you need to go into it pretty blindly. But we follow Shay, and Mina is her name, and they are step-siblings. Mina's mom meets Shay's dad, whose name is James. I forget what her name is. I swear I really like these books. I just always forget names because I don't know. Her mom doesn't play like a huge role. Emily, that's her name. Her name is Emily. Anyways, okay. Focus. Let's get back onto it. James and Emily start a relationship when Mina is pretty young. I think she's like 6 or 7 when she gets brought into this new family, and Shay is 6 years older than her. So I'm pretty sure he's 13 when they first meet. So Mina definitely got raised with Shay. Keep that in mind. And Shay is very, very protective of Mina, always looks out for her, is very much touch her and you die, touch her and I'll torment you. That kind of thing. Shay and James are part of the Celtic Beasts. Oh my God, excuse me. Which is a motorcycle gang, and they do very shady work. And it's a very dangerous lifestyle that they're in. And the first book, we have 2 different timelines. We have the present where Mina is recovering from a very traumatic incident, and the past where you see their relationship grow into what it is now, and the dynamics between the motorcycle gang and the home life. And like Mina lived a very normal life before she got brought into the motorcycle gang world. She was exposed to a lot of stuff at a very, very young age, a lot of things that no kid should go through. And you see their relationship blossom into something that nobody expected. And she is forced into some awful situations. Yeah, it was a really good book. So yeah, I give both books 4 stars because they will definitely sit with me for a very long time. It was very disturbing. but so gripping, and you feel very torn between caring for these characters and feeling bad for them and understanding why they turned out the way they are, and also hating them and everything that they stand for and being like, what the fuck is actually going on? Like, how is this their real lives? It was traumatizing, and the characters just go through so much. It's very deep. Not like very deep, but it is like, it's very deeply disturbing and spiraling. Like, I was engulfed. The second book I read in literally one day. I could not put it down. It's a very easy read. It's very fast paced, but it's heavy, and it talks about some heavy topics. So definitely check your trigger warnings if you do that. I didn't. I never check trigger warnings. I like to go into books very, very blindly and see what happens, see where we end up. So those are all of the books I read recently. Most of these I honestly read in end of September to November. I didn't read much at all in October. October was a very busy month for me, so I just didn't read a whole lot. And they were all very mid books. Definitely the Torment duet was my top reads, not because they were feel-good books, not because I really necessarily enjoyed them, but because of how much they impacted me and how connected I felt to those characters. So those were my top books. My least favorite, I think, was Exile, just because it fell a little flat for me. Okay, with all of that being said, let's get into I think I have 6 books that I want to read before 2025 is over. Okay, starting off, we're actually going to talk about Better Than the Movies by Lynn Painter. I honestly have started this book. I think I'm like on chapter 4, page 72, and this is a cutie little book. I needed a bit of a break from heavy smut, dark romance. I've been reading a lot of that recently, and I needed a bit of a cleanse, a palate cleanse, a change of pace. So this follows Liz. I think they're in high school, and she is a hardcore romantic. She loves all of the little rom-com chick flick movies, and she thinks her life is gonna play out like that. She's waiting for her meet cute, and when Michael Young returns, who was her childhood crush, he moves back to their hometown. She thinks this is finally her chance to get the romantic relationship that she's always wanted. So she's trying to put herself out there. She's trying to get with him and date him, and prom is coming up soon. So she's hoping she can win him over and that they can go to prom together. And to try to win him over, she gets the help from her annoying neighbor, Wesley, and he torments her basically. He is a bit of an ass and pokes fun at her, and I'm sure they're gonna end up together one way or another, but I don't know. I don't know how it's gonna happen. So far it's really fun. It's pretty predictable, and honestly there's a lot of movie references and song references in this book, which is like not really annoying, but that's just not really a big thing for me. I don't love that in books per se. I'm just excited to read this. I think it's pretty YA. I don't know if there'll be any like spicy scenes. There might be some like kissing or whatever, but nothing too heavy. This is pretty lighthearted. I'm excited to keep reading this. And then switching gears pretty abruptly, we have Releasing 10 by Chloe Walsh. This is the 6th book in the Boys of Tommen series, and this is a fatty. Unfortunately, this book is not on Kindle Unlimited. All of the other ones are, but this one is not. So that means I'm gonna have to read the physical copy, and these pages are so thin. Like, this book is 731 pages long. This follows Lizzie and Huey, their relationship, their friendship. Lizzie pissed me off after Taming 7, just how she treats other people. So I'm not in any real rush to read that book, but I wanna know how the series concludes for now. There are still like a bunch of books that are supposed to come out in the Boys of Tommen world. So it's not the end of the series, but this is just as far as it's gotten now. And I want to read it before I see any spoilers because I'm avoiding them like the plague. This is another book or series where you need to check your triggers before going into it. Essentially, it follows, I think they're high school. It kind of, so there's like different books. There's Binding and Keeping 13, which follows Johnny and Shannon. And then there's Saving and Redeeming 6, which follows Joey and Aoife. Taming 7 is Gibbsy and Claire's book. And then Releasing 10 is Lizzie and Huey's book. The Boys of Tommen is it's set in, not Scotland, Ireland, set in Ireland. They're Irish, and I think they're like high school students, high school, college-ish timeline. No, definitely high school. And a lot of them are rugby players, and they all have very traumatic lives and have really shitty things that happen to them. And it is inspiring, but also they just find their people and find like a found family to get through all of the shit things in their lives and really rely on each other for support. It's cute moments within a lot of trauma and heartbreak, so I can only imagine this will follow the same outline. Speaking of avoiding spoilers like the plague, I really need to get into Throne of Glass. Yeah, I've read The Assassin's Blade, but that's as far as I've gotten. It's by Sarah J. Maas. I have read ACOTAR, that whole series. And book 6 is coming out soon. There's been no release date, but I think she's done like the first draft or something like that. There was a post on Instagram about it. I cannot wait for that one. But I would like to read Throne of Glass because I have also been avoiding spoilers for this like no tomorrow. I did decide to read The Assassin's Blade first, and then I'll go into the rest of the series from there. I know it's pretty controversial about how you should read the series and in what order, but that's how I decided to do it. It has been quite a while since I read The Assassin's Blade, so I might need to watch a few YouTube videos to get a recap of it before I read Throne of Glass. This is a fantasy with very minimal to like no romance, I think. It's a lot of friendship, found family, that kind of stuff. I know nothing about it except that, what's her name? Selena, I think is, yeah, Selena. That's how I pronounce it. She is a trained assassin and yeah, she kills people. I think. I don't even know really. Now to one of my favorite authors, Miss Rebecca Yarros, and that is Great and Precious Things. I'm pretty sure this is a standalone, and I also think this is getting a movie, if I'm not mistaken. I think it's been announced. I don't know anything about this book. I'm assuming it follows some army military type of people, probably some trauma and heartbreak and emotional turmoil in this as well, because that's what Rebecca Yarros loves to put her readers through. If I'm gonna guess, there might be like a single parent in this as well. I don't know. I just love Rebecca Yarros, and I forgot I owned this book actually until I saw it on my bookshelf. Second to last is actually another Ali Hazelwood book, and that is Mate. This is part of the Bride series. I don't know if it actually has a series name, but the first book is Bride, and this is in the Omegaverse between vampires and werewolves, and we follow, this is like, I think the character from Bride, her best friend Serena, and then Cohen, K-O-E-N. There's a hair in my mouth. Nice. Yum. Love that. And he is also a werewolf. She's a werewolf too, and I don't really know much about it. There's probably some power dynamic fight war thing between the vampires and the werewolves again, as always in the Omegaverse, but I'm excited to read this. And lastly is a book that I've had for almost a year, and I have the full series, and that is The Cruel Prince by Holly Black. I believe this is another romantasy, but more of like a YA romantasy, not super smut heavy, but more closed door romance, I think. I'm pretty sure he has a tail, and I think it follows a mortal girl who's like a journalist maybe? Honestly, don't really know, but I'm excited to get into more fantasy. I feel like winter is a fantasy time for me. Like summer is like romances, and then winter is fantasies. Don't get me wrong, I will be reading lots of romances this winter too, but I feel like it's very nostalgic because actually 2 years ago during Christmas is when I first read Fourth Wing, and that is the book that kind of catapulted me back into reading, especially the fantasy world, and it's just so nostalgic for me. I love it. Maybe I'll do a reread of Fourth Wing again. for the third time. Third or fourth time. I think the third time. Or maybe Onyx Storm. I don't know. Maybe I'll just reread the whole series again. There is 3 books a part of this, I think. Or like maybe 3 main ones. And then, so it's The Cruel Prince, The Wicked King, The Queen of Nothing. And then I think like there's other side books. The Stolen Heir, The Prisoner's Throne, and How the King of Elfheim Learned to Hate Stories. I don't know. That's just what's on the back there. That is it for this video. Thank you so much for hanging out with me, and I will see you in my next one. Bye!